सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः मण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः स्थावरं जङ्गमं व्याप्तं यत्किञ्चित् सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः चिन्मयं व्याप्ति यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ततामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुवन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः Sangeeta, over it. There's no people because you don't seem to need a bit of back support.
But you need to break the wall.
Yeah. You're actually planning to do an extension for this for the class purpose itself. So. And we did consider breaking the wall as well.
Oh, yeah. Let's jump the last three verses.
Mahatmanas, chapter 9. Mahatmanastu mam partha devi. Sorry, 23, okay. Devyan devata bhaktaha yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajantyadvidipurvakam aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natu mam abhijananti tatvanamtasya vanchite yanti deva vrata devan pitrunyanti pitrvrataha bhutani yanti bhutejyaha yanti madhyajino vimam.
We're looking at recognizing the worshippers of the devas, of gods, devas to the pitras, go to the ancestors, for the elements of go to the worshipper, my worshipper. So, in chapter is actually mapping out the whole kind of different pathways which people take in their lives, and especially in relationship to the world and in relationship to God and the ultimate. Kind of clearly pointing out which are the different options, which are the different ways in people follow the different pathways, and what are the consequences of following this pathway. So, he's kind of pushing us in the direction of thinking about what is the right pathway. Because if we then work according to the right pathway, a certain kind of consequence, really the ultimate achievement, true purpose of moksha. There are all these different pathways one can follow and attain the consequences of it. But really speaking, there is only anymore. So he's kind of gently pushing us in the right way of thinking about all things, that we get a clear idea that what is our relationship with ourselves, and what is who. This is the right path that we need. So you see that talking about that the like he's saying is that even those devotees who end up with worship me alone, but by the wrong method. There's a right method and a wrong method. And the wrong method is maybe this relationship world is distorted by our own and also by our desires. When we function in the world with our personal selfish attachment to the world of objects according to those desires we are using. Yeah, even if you're doing that, function in the world and not interested in God or anything else, and we are only interested in achieving things in the world. Perspective, wrong vision for use. So the unreality, one in the but a mistaken vision, but a mistaken method by which we are doing this thing. Therefore, consequence of that is that you will attain what you are looking for, but you will not attain me. So you are looking for underlying reality, me alone. The focus is, so how do we think about this? That I am alone the enjoyer of the Lord of all sacrifice. But they do not know me, because that we are mistaking this phenomenal world of names and forms, saying to ourselves, this is the reality. Sense of all this, having forgotten that, use the wrong method, distracted, and then he goes on to three categories of people. So, worshippers of the devas or the gods, the devas. So here, Gurudev in his commentary says devas are, but they represent the individual, the various sense organs. So, in other words, that the worshippers of the devas, in other words, worshippers of the physical experiences, go to the physical experience. What does it? It means that the senses which I have, I engage with the world only for the sake of engaging those senses, objects of those senses. Then I will get those experiences. obvious, stating this way, that if you are interested in the physical experiences of, this is what you're going to get. Worship of physical experience is whether you want the, you are interested in that physical experience, you get the consequence of that physical experience. You get the consequence of the visual experience or the auditory experience. All this experience is available so that if you worship those things, you get those physical experiences. But those physical experiences, the focus is on the material object rather than the essence of that object, which is, so it's important to remember is, then, in fact, all of us at one together worships, and that we fall into one category, also kind of long for some kind of physical experience. At the same time, also fall into the other category. The other category is throws of the ancestors go to the other. Now here, Gurudev gives the definition of this worship as the following culture. That is what the in terms of the realities of, you're not saying, no, you're not, it is what happened with our ancestors. There are certain rituals which throughout this month create the kind of connect with them again, feed them, etc., so that they get pleased and they getting pleased. That is the and this Shraddha is actually something which is important in tradition, and therefore following all this tradition is that keeping the cultural purity of tradition represented by this ancestral worship means that our attention is where now? Our attention on the cultural, traditional aspects, beliefs that are there in our. We follow those so that we are and those. So how many of you and many people do, and this allows them to connect with the culture, but also in terms of the ancestors, of the so there are many aspects of Hindu culture which are there, and different ways. For example, the festivals are also manifesting different aspects of the arts, and also there are ways in which and these are actually nothing the features of this expressed in our social life. Are expressed in our social life. So think Diwali is coming, or Navratri is coming up. Celebrate this festival, and the connection which we have when celebrating this festival is that there is an underlying spiritual religious connect. So Bali is over evil. So very fundamental victory, good, and of course you can give a system behind that, but it is then celebrated as a social function, cultural function, so that we can connect through that function to the culture which we have been born. And through that culture, we begin to understand the spiritual principles. Yes, that culture. We are celebrating spiritual principles, but our focus is not on the spiritual. More often, it is on the celebration of culture. That is what we get. And then he talks about the Bhutas. So the Bhutas are here. He translating Bhutas as scientists, those who are really interested only in the material aspects of life, as of the finance, about what we are interested in: physics, chemistry, biology, botany, engineering, politics, all this kind of really the secular field in which is therefore now connecting with that is what I mean it's yeah, but what he's saying that having understood that principle, make sure your object of your attention is the right one, and your relationship with that object also right, and therefore having made this method and the will get the last part of this verse whereby he says the people who worship me, my worshipper company means people who are in constant remembrance of spiritual life, constant remembrance of God. They will now I was saying picture of all this is remembering God, the temple, doing our daily basis amount of time, then scientific quest, and celebrate culture. There are various things. But what he is saying earlier on, what's your attention on me and me alone, right? Method are indirect methods. They don't actually acknowledge the reality. So what you have to do is go directly, take the direct path to reality. God, connect with that indirect method and keeping your attention directly there all the time, then you will. He also makes it able to do that. Then I will guard what you have, do what you verse which they say falls roughly in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita, and with Lord Krishna. Keep your attention this way, worship me alone, and secure for you that which is not already there, and preserve for you that secret success. Anything in life, just use these principles, keeping what says. In this context, is about achieving that ultimate. Those three, anything which you success in your life are the three. So, well-known verse of the it kind of gives us a way of thinking about how do we keep our God. And how do we express our devotion? He says you don't need anything complicated.
पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयम्
पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं
यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति
यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति
तदहं भक्त्युपहृतम्
तदहं भक्त्युपहृतम्
तदहं भक्त्युपहृतम्
तदहं भक्त्युपहृतम्
अश्नामि प्रयतात्मनः
अश्नामि प्रयतात्मनः
पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहं भक्त्युपहृतम् अश्नामि प्रयतात्मनः.
Offers me with devotion a leaf, a flower, water, offered by the pure-minded with as a leaf or a flower or a fruit or water even. Quite easy. And it is in the presence of God. A bit more. He is saying that what is important is really what? How you offer it. It could be something very simple as a flower or a fruit or even water. And if it is offered with devotion and with the purity of the mind, then so here Gurudev, the difference between this very elaborate rituals last sometimes for days and days and days, and the temples which are where some is that contrast to that, Lord Krishna has a very simple way expressing our devotion, offering it this kind of power which is full of devotion, the purity of the mind. What does it accept it? With Vedanta, this is left. Now here he is saying that very intellectual intellects poisoned with their own misunderstanding have that these houses of God converted into hospitals and schools, communities, temples. An argument to say that why build so many temples? And really what we need, hospitals, all these other things. Even is going on, more of those than. But leaving that aside and being trying to think about really that again, what is the relationship between God and how is it going to be expressed in the. So here there are two key elements giving us. Number one, with what kind of consciousness am I going to relate to God? And what is the method by which I am going to express that particular relation? So number one is for mind and with me. For mind, and when we talk about mind, and we talk about the purity, and it is Prayat Atman. So here, the purity of the mind without any, without any, without agitation, the mental remove me and the mind. The ego is the one which how does it conduct? Saying, I'm the doer and I'm the enjoyer. I am this entity. I do these things because I'm the center of how normal to function in what is in it for. But one point of the method of functioning in the world, the me is the dominant way in which we look at the world and we interact with it. It means that I world in terms of own desires, my own attachment, and function in the world accordingly. Whereas in the devotee, what has happened, the rajasic and the tamasic elements, on the one hand, converted or been removed so that the sattvic element is first the mind pure because it has now got the sattvic guna in it. Secondly, there is attachment is decided. Your mind means attachment. Mind is that the kind of practices which Lord of the last 8 chapters is telling us that this is the way in which day-to-day life, and if you function according to the scripture giving you, then purity. So you remember the two major stages which first of two is karma and going through where the two principles of the applies in day-to-day transaction into. He said once the mind is purified, stage. Says the second stage, whereas the first stage was action of the world, the second stillness of the mind. And in the silence and the stillness, then we discover. So here, what we are talking, the purity of mind comes through this living a life of karma yoga,